Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus with this series over the past couple of weeks, just reached a point where I talked about almost every single team in some way. I was making some trade videos, some all-star type videos, just more variety content reaching the halfway point of the season, but we're back again today to cover a 12-game slate from yesterday, which included a bunch of great games, so not a lot of time for intros. Primarily in this video, I do want to focus on one team that's been an unstoppable force as of late, and they're not really getting the love I think they deserve. This is also while they've been dealing with two massive injuries to all-star caliber players, have not played in over a month until last night, and they've still been destroying the league, and nobody's really talking about them, so I'm going to be the one to do it. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos, and let's go ahead and get into these games. Let's go ahead and kick things off with Cavaliers versus Clippers. As I'm sure most of you know, the Clippers have been maybe the best team in the league over the past 2 months. Since December 2nd, only 4 losses. 3 of them came against teams fighting for the 1 seed in their conference in the Thunder, Celtics, and the Wolves, and 1 loss came to the Lakers, who have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. 2 of those losses against OKC and Boston in particular, also without Kawhi Leonard, so when this team's been healthy, they very rarely lost since the beginning of December. They've looked unstoppable. Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George are clicking on all cylinders. They look like championship contenders, and I'm sure they're the championship favorites in a lot of people's eyes. But Cleveland has also been really good, which is surprising since they've been missing Mobley and Darius Garland since early December. Tonight, Mobley went ahead and returned to help them against the Clippers, and they went ahead and knocked off one of the best teams in the league by double digits. It was a back and forth game, 10 lead changes, biggest lead going into the fourth was just 8 points. But in the fourth quarter, the Cavaliers turned up. Spida knocked down some shots, Niang and Jarrett Allen contributed, went up by 12 off some Max Strus free throws. Clippers tried to push back, brought it to within 4 with 134 left, but a Donovan Mitchell pull-up jumper and a Jarrett Allen and 1 put the game away, with Cleveland winning by 10 points. It was a big win over one of the best teams in the NBA, and it was an all-around team effort. 28, 4, 12 assists, 2 steals, and a block from Donovan Mitchell on 53% shooting. Jarrett Allen gave them a 20 and 17 double-double, his 15th in a row, which is a Cleveland Cavaliers franchise record. Karis LeVert had 13, Niang had 10, Strus had 14, 7 and 4, Okoro had 17 points on 3 of 4 from deep. Evan Mobley made his return after a month away from the team, and in just 20 minutes gave them 10 points, 9 rebounds, and a steal. And as a team, they held the Clippers to 108 points, which is really, really difficult. This team has been unstoppable on the offensive end since they started clicking, but they had both Paul George and James Harden on clamps. Kawhi Leonard did typical Kawhi Leonard stuff, but beyond him, they were able to slow this team down, go ahead and get a double-digit win against the hottest team in the league, and move to 28 and 16. They're just half a game back of both the 4-seeded Knicks and 1 game back of the 3-seeded Sixers. They're right there competing for a top 3 spot in the Eastern Conference. They've just been on fire, and again, a lot of this happened while they were missing 2 of their best players. Evan Mobley ends up hurting his knee early in December. They went 1-3 in the first 4 games following that injury, including in a loss against Boston at the end of that stretch where Darius Garland fractured his jaw. So Mobley's out for about a month, Garland's out for about a month, and it felt like they were probably going to go ahead and plummet down the standings. They were going to be missing 2 all-star caliber players who are super critical to their success. Garland on the offensive end and Mobley on the defensive end, as a guy who finished top 3 in DPOY voting last season. And at that point, I even thought about making a video saying that the Cavs might be in trouble because they were probably going to lose a lot of games in the absence of those guys. Other teams were on fire, so they were presumably going to plummet down the standings. That was also the part of the season where there were a lot of rumors circulating about Donovan Mitchell's future. Could they look to move on from him because there's a good chance he doesn't want to stay? Some people saying, oh, it's the worst kept secret in the NBA that Donovan Mitchell's not going to be a Cav beyond next year. It seemed like they were kind of in trouble, but since they lost both those guys, they've went 14-4, and the only losses came to the Pelicans, the Bucks twice, and the Raptors. So not really any terrible losses, and a lot of wins along the way. They blew out Orlando, beat Milwaukee comfortably twice, took down Dallas, annihilated the Wizards in a couple of games, didn't even play around with a team that's way worse than them. They've got a lot of convincing wins, not many losses. This is a team that's clicking at the moment, and it's again happening without 2 of their best players. They've got the best defense in the NBA over that stretch, despite missing Evan Mobley, who again was a top 3 DPOY guy just last season. The offense has definitely struggled without Darius Garland. It's just been 17th in the league over this stretch, but the defense has held up enough to get them a lot of wins, and they do still have Donovan Mitchell, who's a monster. He's playing like maybe the best guard in the Eastern Conference, and it feels like nobody's really talking about him. If you ask me, he firmly should have been an all-star starter next to Tyrese Halliburton. Been absolutely amazing. Since Darius Garland went down with injury, Donovan Mitchell is giving the Cavs 29.1 points per game, 5.1 boards, 7.1 assists, and 1.9 steals, while shooting 48% 28.5% from the field and 36% from deep, taking on pretty much all of the offense. He is being asked to do ridiculous things every night to get them even close to a league average offense with Darius, Garland on the bench, and he's managed to do so, putting up a decently efficient 29 points per game, playmaking at a high level. They're asking him to do the responsibilities that typically they share, all at the same time while also trying to defend in the backcourt, and he's done pretty much all of it. Donovan Mitchell has been so special this season, playing some of the best basketball of his career, and I feel like the only time anybody ever talks about him is when they're going over where his next trade destination could be, where he could go after the Cavaliers, rather than focusing on the ridiculous things he's doing right now over in Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell deserves more love. He should have been an all-star starter, playing like maybe the best guard in the Eastern Conference so far this season. Alongside him, you've got another guy who's playing like an all-star so far this season in Jarrett Allen. I don't think he's going to make the game, but I do believe he's deserving of some consideration. He's been so integral to everything they've done with those guys on the injured list. Without Evan Mobley this season, Allen's given you 16.4 points per game, 12 boards, and 3.5 dimes, with a steal and a block while shooting 62.5% from the field. Been amazing. He's been great as a play finisher, of course, a great rebounder. Playmaking has been good. They utilize him a lot out of the high post, have him do dribble handoffs, just an integral part of everything they do offensively, while also being deservedly in some talks about all defense. I think he deserves to be in even depoy talks this season. The Cavs are a top 3 defense in the league right now. They've been the best defense even with Evan Mobley injured. And again, that's a guy that finished top 3 in depoy talks last season. Allen has been special hanging out around the rim, just defending in space. He's been incredible. He deserves to be in those talks. He deserves to be in all-star talks. And it's funny because before the season, we heard a couple of rumors that the Cavs were maybe considering trading him, but at this point, I don't see any way they would do so. He's been so valuable. Beyond those two, Isaac Okoro has been playing really solid defensively and provided some pretty solid three-point shooting. Max Strus has filled in well for them at the wing. LeVert is inconsistent, but has had some big scoring nights to propel them to wins. Sam Merrill has been incredible this season as a shooter, giving them 2.5 threes a night on 42.8% from deep, become an integral part of their rotation. Niang has shot it well at 37% from deep per night, giving them some size as well. Dean Wade is shooting 41.3% from 3. They're knocking down some 3-point shots. They're defending at a high level. Donovan Mitchell's doing superstar stuff, and it's gotten them some wins. Particularly, the commitment to that defensive end has been huge for them. I like the way that JB Bickerstaff has gotten them to buy in defensively and has kept this team ready to compete, got guys to step up in the absence of their 2 all-star caliber players that have missed a month of the season. It's been amazing to watch. They've rallied, and I can't wait to see how good they look with Garland and Mobley back in the lineup. Who knows how good the defense can be with Allen playing at this level once Mobley gets fully back into the fold, no more minutes restrictions. They'll probably catapult back up to the number 1 defense in the league, be competing with Minnesota for that spot. The offense is also going to take a major jump when Darius Garland comes back, and the report is he could be back as soon as their next game on Wednesday. It might take some time for them to get back into rhythm with both of them returning, but it feels like the Cavaliers are about to hit a big stride once they've got these 2 guys back. Anything is possible for them, not to mention the fact that they've got one of the easiest remaining strength of schedules left in the entire NBA. They've played a majority of their tough games, and they're just now getting all-star caliber guys back into the lineup. I was really high on the Cavs coming into the season. I was high on them going into last year, and they're starting to show that potential. I can't wait to see what they look like when healthy. And again, I don't think enough people are talking about how good they've been. People just want to talk about, oh, when is Donovan Mitchell going to move on from the Cavaliers? What's their next step after that? What moves should they make? And yeah, they could make some moves at the deadline, but this team is pretty special right here, right now, and looks like one of the scary teams in the Eastern Conference, even without 2 of their most critical pieces in the lineup consistently yet. I'm especially excited to see how they look in the playoffs. I feel like this team is way more dynamic than last year's team was, especially on the offensive end. And I can't wait to see what they look like when it comes around to that. If I'm one of those top seeds, I really don't want to see Cleveland in a playoff series. Moving on from that game, we also had the Brooklyn Nets versus the Utah Jazz, which was a massive blowout in favor in Brooklyn. So normally I wouldn't talk about this game, but we got a big return. Ben Simmons, after missing almost this entire season, he hadn't played since I think November 6th or right around the beginning of November. He came back and he was really good in his first game returning. The Nets win by 33 points, and Simmons himself drops 10 points, 8 boards, and 11 assists with 1 steal and a block on perfect shooting in just 18 minutes off the bench. Again, first game since November. He was pushing the ball with pace, made some great passes, playing really good defense in Larry Markkinen and a variety of those Jazz players. The Nets were clearly way better with him in there. I was really impressed. I hope we continue to see this version of Ben Simmons coming into the year. I was a big believer in him. I was buying stock. I wanted to see Ben Simmons be successful, and I still do. I want to see Ben Simmons on this revenge tour reestablish his value, because when he was healthy back in Philadelphia and he was playing like an all-star, he was a really, really fun player to watch. I hope he eventually gets back to that point. I'm excited to see what he can do the rest of the season if he can stay healthy, because this Nets team looks drastically better with Ben Simmons out there. Last night, we also had a battle between two of the best teams in the Western Conference, with the Timberwolves picking up a big win over the Oklahoma City Thunder to send the season series to 2-2. It was a huge win that they needed to get for seeding implications, and they went ahead and got the job done without Mike Conley, who's been big to their success this season. 21-10-6 from Cat, 27-4-4 from Ant, 12-17 from Gobert, big shots down the stretch from Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels. Just an all-around team effort. The defense was amazing from them. Same thing from the Thunder. Really, every game between these two teams has been a grinded-out defensive battle. That's exactly what I would expect the playoff series to look like. It would be some disgusting offensive basketball, but if you like defense, that would definitely be the series for you. Shea had 37, 7, and 8, playing like an MVP type guy. J-Dub, 22 and 3, rough game for most of the other guys. Feels like the Thunder are hitting a bit of a wall at the moment. They've had a grueling month. I say that as a Thunder fan. A lot of back-to-backs, a lot of time on the road, playing some really good teams. Definitely need the All-Star break to hit. Like Chet Holmgren out there looks really tired. Pretty much all of his three-point shots at this point are short. Doesn't have the same lift on a lot of his mid-range jumpers. You can tell he's hitting a little bit of a rookie wall. I think a lot of that is exhaustion. The defense still been amazing, but the offense has definitely taken a step back. I think after the All-Star break, the team will be fine, but for the moment, they do look tired out there. Also, big news in that Jalen Williams tweaked his ankle at the end of this game. Hopefully everything's good. We haven't gotten a report quite yet, but if he misses any time, the Thunder are going to be in a lot of trouble without him. Sticking in the Western Conference, the Rockets take down the Los Angeles Lakers behind 34-12-7 from Jalen Green and 31-12-7 from Alperen Şengün. It was a big game for that duo. Jalen Green has been playing a lot better as of late, which is exciting. I made that video not too long ago saying that the Rockets had a Jalen Green problem because they really need him to be good if they want to reach their true potential. And he hadn't been great most of the season. Lately, he's been turning it around. Hopefully that continues to be the case because he's been really fun to watch as of late. And Alperen Şengün just continues to build an all-star case with the reserve list coming out in a couple of days here. They also got 20 from Cam Whitmore, Jabari Smith Jr. at 18, 9, and 4. The Lakers, to be honest, just really couldn't stop the Rockets whatsoever tonight. And it's starting to reach decision time. The Lakers don't have very long to go ahead and make a decision on a trade at the deadline. They're right around 500 right now. They've been very up and down. What's the move? Do you trade D'Angelo Russell, who's been maybe your best player over the past couple of weeks? Do you trade Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent? Who do you go after? Is it a DeJounte Murray? Is it a different star? Is it a couple of role players? I don't know, but they've got to do something. They can't just let this thing keep riding. Last year, they put off some magic around the deadline and managed to make their way to the Western Conference Finals. Can they do something like that again? Final game I want to go in-depth into is Magic versus Mavericks. This one came all the way down to the wire. The Magic, down 3, get fouled on purpose. Paolo goes to the line, hits the first one, perfectly executes a second missed free throw. They get the rebound. Franz Wagner has to shoot a fadeaway 3 over a couple of guys to try and win the game. Does end up missing, but even still, there's something really fun about a perfectly missed free throw on purpose. A lot of guys don't even hit the rim. Powell hits it directly off the front. It was a fun ending to the game and a fun ending to a huge battle between two of the league's brightest young stars in Luka and Paolo Banchero. Luka had 45, 9, and 15. Powell had 36, 9, and 7. Big time supporting performances from THJ with 36. Jaden Hardy had 20, 20 and 11 from Derek Lively, who just got named a rising star. Franz Wagner had 21, 5, and 6. Anthony Black had 20. It was a really fun game. The Magic couldn't slow the Mavericks down enough to grab the win, which hasn't often been the case for Orlando. Typically, their games are grinded out defensive matchups, but this one was an offensive explosion. A really fun game. The Mavericks need to go ahead and grab this win. They pull off the comeback as they continue to try and find their spot in the Western Conference. Let's go ahead and wrap up the rest of the games. The Nuggets defeat the Bucks in Doc Rivers' first game due to 35 from Jamal Murray and a 25-16-12 game from Jokic. The Knicks annihilate the Hornets without Randall or OG Anunoby, led primarily by Jalen Brunson with 32, 4, and 7. Shout out to Brandon Miller in this game, 29.7 boards and 3 assists. He's been great this season. The Suns outlast the Heat, led by 22, 8, and 7 from Booker, as the Heat have now dropped 7 straight games. The Celtics take down the Pelicans behind 98 combined points from their starters. The Blazers beat the Sixers as they continue to really miss Embiid and Maxey with injury. Big game from Jeremy Grant. Kings beat the Grizzlies behind 20, 26, and 5 from Sabonis. The Grizzlies are just completely decimated by injuries. And finally, the Wizards beat the Spurs in a close one, led mainly by Kyle Kuzma, who put up 18, 11, and 5, continuing to build his trade value heading into the deadline. With all that being said, those are my thoughts on the games from today. Let me know down below in the comments what your takeaways were. What do you think about this Cleveland Cavaliers team? How far do you think they can go in the playoffs? What pieces should they maybe try and add at the deadline? And do you think Donovan Mitchell should have been an all-star starter like I do? Also, just in general, let me know how you feel about your favorite team at this point in the season. We're heading into the deadline. I want to make some trade deadline deadline content. Of course, going to be breaking down trades when they happen too. So if there's anything you want me to talk about in particular, as always, comment it down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.